I'd love to transition now to one of the other real superpowers of 55,000 degrees. And part of what somebody said, I think it was Mason earlier in the chat, has made us the envy of many communities. And that is our ability to interconnect the education and workforce ecosystems in meaningful ways. So I want to have a conversation next with Sarah Ehresman, Jim Lancaster, and Dr. Alisia McClain. But Sarah, would you go ahead and kick us off and talk a little bit about the framework that you have been using and our community is using around this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a graphic to share with you that will hopefully pop up on the screen that's showing our youth development system that's really come together for young people. It's what most excites me right now is this systems level change that's happening at Jefferson County Public Schools through the implementation of the Academies of Louisville model. So we at KentuckianaWorks, along with our friends at GLI and of course JCPS, have put a lot of time and energy into making this system a reality. And so the high school experience is just so different now, and it's come together in such a short period of time. It's really quite impressive. So I know the font's really small, and that's because there's a lot going on. It's very exciting, but I'm just going to quickly walk us through it. So beginning in 8th and 9th grade, young people start to think about their skills and interests and how that lines up with the day-to-day of different career pathways. Exposures to different careers is a big part of this exploration process so that young people can think about jobs that they might not be as familiar with. Thinking beyond the jobs they know because they have a family member in that profession or because they've seen it on TV, and instead considering, the range of career options that are available in today's labor market. And so at the end of their freshman year, young people actually choose a career academy, such as healthcare, skilled trades, or IT, and the remainder of their high school experience is integrated into this career-themed curriculum. And so by the time they graduate, they could have earned an industry recognized credential, they could have earned dual credit at a local post-secondary institution. Thanks to the partnership of more than 100 local businesses working with the schools, young people hear from local professionals that are actually in the field. They're able to tour local work sites and see what the facility is like. And then they start to gain those work-based learning experiences through summer works and the opportunity for co-ops and apprenticeships their senior year. And so once they reach graduation, they're prepared to enter the workforce. They have that credential, they have that work experience, or maybe they're ready to just seamlessly transition into post-secondary with some college credit under their belt and the support of Evolve 502, or perhaps, some combination of both work and school. And what's so great about this model is that even if young people ultimately don't stick with the career path of their high school academy, they're still just gaining so much. It's so helpful to learn what you do like and also what you don't like at a young age, and making that direct connection between what they're learning and how that applies to real world situations in the workplace will ultimately contribute to greater success on their pathway after high school. And so we're definitely going to share this graphic. I'll throw a link in the chat so you can download it and spend some time with it. But it's really just transformational what's happening at the high school level.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Next, I would love to talk to Jim Lancaster, who has been such a force in our community as an employer, influencing the educational ecosystem on several levels. Jim, can you talk a little bit about what you have seen as some of the real accomplishments of 55,000 degrees over the last little bit, and then help us look a little bit to the future in terms of what you see coming next?
I think there's a couple things that are pretty phenomenal. First of all, there's been an incredible sort of partnership and engagement by the business community in first of all, the Academies of Louisville, but also some real transformation that's gone on at Jefferson Community and Technical College. And I've seen it across a number of businesses in town, which then turned into over 100 that are supporting the Academies of Louisville. And I think, this partnership where we have folks at the education institutions that are willing to change and stick business leaders that are willing to jump in and try to help eliminate barriers so we can actually make progress is just really exciting. And there's evidence of that at the Academies of Louisville. There's evidence of that with the Kentucky Fame program, the Advanced Manufacturing IT center that was built most recently here in town. There's evidence of that in various programs that Laura just talked about at Jefferson. So I'm really excited about the fact that we can make a difference moving forward. I think going forward, this is kind of what I'm excited about and concerned about. We have to build a stronger workforce in Louisville. We have to. We've got a significant issue with the skill level of our workforce to be competitive moving forward. The good news is we have a lot of sort of, I'll call them underskilled folks in our community that are sort of a perfect resource if we can get them better skilled. And I think the real focus on equity that's come up in the last 6 months or so gives us the opportunity to put some energy into some new programs, and frankly, to make some changes that are hard to make, so that we can pull up a lot more folks that currently don't have the education levels that we need.
Thanks, Jim. If I can ask you one more question, what are you nervous about looking forward?
Well, I think it's what I'm always nervous about. It's probably my personality, but I'm nervous that we'll get a little distant from the problem. We've got some basic things that need to change in how we think about educating our students and in connecting the education at our high schools into post-secondary and into the skills that our community needs. And, our community is not the same as other communities. We need to stay very tightly focused on what the issues are with our students so we can help meet them where they are and lift them up. And I think sometimes we can get a little academic about it. And then sometimes the solutions we put in place don't actually connect. So I really want to keep us, I think it's important that we stay focused on where the students in need really are and what they need. And if we do that, I think we'll be successful. So that's kind of my biggest concern. But we've got a lot of evidence that we're doing that. So I'm kind of excited about it.
Awesome. Thanks. I also want to welcome Dr. Alisia McClain, who I am so lucky to have as a colleague at the Future of Work Initiative. Dr. McClain has been working to broaden the pipeline of people going into tech careers, but also helping us to rethink the interconnection between credentials and degrees, and really help to connect employers and young people who might not otherwise think about themselves as being able to be a part of these future careers. Dr. McClain, thank you for being here. I'd love to hear you just reflect a little bit about how we think about shifting the narrative in our community about education and career.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Ben, and it's a pleasure to be here. First of all, I have to correct you just a bit. I'm not quite a doctor yet.
Oh, that's true. Oh, sorry. I'm fast forwarding. One more degree coming soon.
Speak it into existence, but I am working on my dissertation around the sociocultural factors that influence participation of underrepresented and marginalized groups in the fields of computer and data science. And so I think it's really important to highlight that we're trying to connect community to education and education to industry. And that seems like sort of a traditional way to do things, but it's kind of the how of what we're doing that I think is innovative in its approach. It's an understanding that data science and computer science are a medium. They're a medium to community empowerment. They are a medium, obviously, to a well-paying job, but also an understanding that they are a medium to bettering our society. And this is where the importance of diversity comes in. A lot of times we think of diversity as a philanthropic effort and not as an economic or even selfish effort. It is of the utmost importance. And it is integral to our future as an economy, that we think about who is not represented in these careers. So within our work, some of it programmatic and some of it systems level, we're thinking in those terms of how can we increase diversity, not just from not at all from a philanthropic angle, but from a we need more diversity in technology, in the technology sector. We need more diversity in data science. We have a myriad of problems, ethical issues that exist because honestly, if we're being just frank and completely honest, because we have a lack of diversity in the field, and we're seeking to change that in everything that we do with the future of work.
Thank you so much. So I would just love to hear you reflect briefly on what are you afraid of and what are you excited about as we step into this fourth technical revolution?
I think I'm going to switch the question up. What I'm the most excited about is that there has been a paradigm shift around what I was just talking about, actually. There is a heightened interest potentially and probably honestly because of the reckonings that we have had in our society with systemic inequities. There is an incredible amount of interest around increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the field, in addition to doing this fourth technological revolution correctly, right? Being prepared for it as a community, and also thinking about how we can have a rich and robust representation at the table, if you will. And so that's very exciting. It's very exciting. Every conversation I'm in, every panel I'm on, every meeting I'm in, everyone is talking about how do we do this and how can we do it well. But that's also what scares me, to be honest. I don't want to see this as I hope we don't look at this as a passing phase. This is not this is a heavy lift. This is not something that's easy. It's not a box that can be checked. It is a commitment that has to be made, and it's an ongoing. It's almost a lifestyle. And I think sometimes we think of it as a checklist item, and it is like in everything that we do, we have to think about how we frame it. We have to think about how we are intentionally increasing representation of underrepresented groups. And so that's very exciting to me, right? But that's also, it's also scary because I want to see that continue. We can make tremendous strides both in our community and in our society if we continue to move this work forward. So very exciting.
Thank you, Alisia, and thank you for your continued leadership. We have talked about this initiative as highlighting a real shift in people who are stepping into those spaces, and we're so lucky to have you in our community doing this work.